Hello, welcome back. This is the NW Sportscast back for the second night in a row on a pretty good January day. We've got some NBA stuff to talk about and the NFL playoffs. So if you guys have already seen last night's episode, we talked all about the college football playoff, the national
I
championship.
didn't see it if you didn't post.
No, it is posted now.
Oh.
It's posted. So, yeah, if you guys want to check out that episode, then definitely you should. And we also talked a lot about the Seahawks in that episode. So now we're on to second day in a row. So today, a lot about the upcoming NFL playoffs. And but I think first we're going to go with the NBA, as the season is now – how many weeks has it been for Seth? Three weeks now?
3 weeks.
Yeah. Portland's doing pretty good, wouldn't you say, Seth? 6-4. Got a nice, very close win, but a good win yesterday.
Yeah, they're playing well after a couple of bad losses early on in the season.
How's Dame playing?
Dame's been our second best player. I mean, he's not shooting the ball very well, but he's still helping us with wins in the assist category as well.
Who's the first best player right now?
CJ's averaging 30 a game.
Yeah, CJ's having a really good season.
He's second in the
And then
league
you have
scoring.
Malachi Flynn, who got his
He's
first
been
points.
absolutely horrendous.
That's true.
He has been so bad.
Who?
Malachi.
Malachi's
He's
not
barely
bad.
played. He's barely played.
Yeah, but he's like over 13
cut the rookie
from
a
3.
break. Cut the rookie a break. All right. Well, I think
That's not true though.
why don't we
He just
get
got
into-
he was in against the Kings and he got 12 points, 4 assists, and like a steal or something like that.
Okay, well, that was he had one good game. You're right.
All right, why don't we get into some NBA power rankings? So Seth has his and Drew has some as well. So I think the way we're going to do it today is we didn't get a chance to average them all out. So we're going to have Seth go over his power rankings, and then Drew can talk as well about where he would have them. I'm not going to talk about mine just because I don't really feel like I'm at the place where I'm ready to share my
We'll
power
tell you when to
rankings.
talk about your ridiculous picks. Don't you worry
Okay,
about
all right. All right, so with that, Seth, take it away.
All right. Well, I'll start at third. The Pistons, they're 2-8. They have 2 wins, and they're both over good teams, but that still doesn't mean anything to me. This team is awful. They have one good player in Jeremy Grant playing like an all-star, but this team is ridiculously bad, and they're going to keep tanking like they should be. Okay, and then Drew, what do you have? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I have 30 Pistons too.
Yeah. And then at number 29, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves. As much as I like them, they're still not a great basketball team. Cat went down with an injury, and they fell apart. Cat came back, and now they're 1-1 with Cat back. So they're 3-7. They have not got a win in a while. Actually, yeah, they got one last night, I guess. But before that, they were 0-7. They finally picked up a win, put them to 3-7. So yeah, this.
Yeah,
team
I have the
Yeah.
Timberwolves at 29 as well. I think Cat needs to stay healthy, and he'll be he'll at least carry that team to more wins they would without him, obviously. But he needs to stay healthy, because he's like one of their only players.
Yeah. All right, and this was a surprising one. I have the 4-6 Grizzlies at 28. This team's, I mean, yeah, they picked up 2 wins in the last couple of games, but this team's still not good, and especially with that offer, still at least another week. It's tough. You're not going to get many wins probably this week. You have a pretty tough schedule coming up, and I don't know. I just don't think you guys will be what you were last year, playoff contending with all these injuries, and now Ja still out for at least a week, so in a tougher schedule. So I still have them at 28. They won't be great.
I have Bulls at 28. What are they? 3-7.
They're 4-7.
I don't 4-7. Okay. Either way, they don't have a great record. They don't have great players, and I don't know. I'm not liking their team. So yeah.
That's without Russell Westbrook, and people are already asking for a Westbrook trade. No way it's going to happen because they just got him, but
Hold on,
Yeah,
Seth. We lost you there. Who'd you say was 27?
He said Russell
Wizards at
Westbrook,
27.
Wizards.
They just blew out the
Wizards, okay.
Suns. But people are already saying because they beat the Suns without Westbrook, they should trade Westbrook and still have Bill Carey. But no, they're not going to trade Westbrook. He just got there. But this team's still not a good team. And they'll be in a lot of games. They just can't pick them up. Like we've seen, they barely lost to the Heat. They barely lost to the Celtics. They barely lost to the Sixers. They barely lost, or they beat the Nets. Barely lost to the Bulls. I mean, they've been in close games, but they just can't pull them out on the stretch. And
They also lost Thomas Bryant for the season.
yeah, for this entire season as well.
I do not have the Wizards at 27. I have them at 26, and I have the Kings at 27.
All right, well, that's fine. 26, I have the Toronto Raptors at 2-8. They technically are tied for the worst team in the NBA. We saw 2 straight games where Siakam missed buzzer beaters. They cannot close a game. It's
Against the Warriors.
It's like, and the Blazers. He missed 2 in a row last night against Trailblazers.
Jeez.
He missed an easy drop step spin layup, and then he missed.
Why are you giving it? What I'm wondering is, why are you giving it to Siakam when the game's on the line? Give it to Fred. I mean, it's clearly looking like.
People were mad that they didn't give it to Lowry, but Lowry shot horrendous last night. So I was saying give it to Van Vliet, but they gave it to Siakam in the post, and he actually got a good look. He just missed.
That's what I mean. But that's why I give it to Fred. It's looking like Fred's team. I've watched more Raptors games than any other game. I wouldn't say they're my primary team, but they're the team I'm most interested in. So.
Yeah, they picked up a win over the Kings, which was a pretty big win. But other than that, this week they've struggled a lot. I mean, they had that Knicks win last week, but 2-8, and you're losing these games. Pretty close margin, so there's still a chance to turn it around. That's why I have you ahead of a team like the Wizards, who I think they won't turn it around. But still think
yeah, I mean, I think I have a pretty good list, except for I have the Raptors at a pretty controversial spot, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Levi, what is your first 5 teams?
You mean by bottom 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for myself, I don't really – just bear with me here. Number 30, I have the Pelicans.
Levi, why don't you tell the audience why you make these power rankings the way you do?
So this is how I do my power rankings. As I've said, I think I've said this. So I take the teams and I take how many wins do you have against a team that is above 500. I give you 1 point for those. Then I say, how many losses do you have against a team that's below 500? And I give them -1 point for that. So I thought at the start of the season, that's pretty straightforward, right? If they beat a team that's above 500, they get a point. They lose to a team that's below 500, that's a bad loss. They lose a point. It has not worked out the way I thought it would because scheduling is weird and some good teams just beat up on bad teams but don't get
That's
any
how the
points
NBA
for it.
works. That's why you're
So yeah, here we go. Without further ado, number 30, Pelicans. 29, Wizards. There's one we agree on. 28, Atlanta Hawks. 27, Timberwolves. Another one I agree with. And 26, you guys are gonna hate me. Don't even ask me why. You know why. But 26, Lakers. All right.
Well, obviously, so I guess Levi, a counter to your point is if you put a team of 5 10-year-olds on the floor and for some reason they get 3 or 4 quality wins, that doesn't mean that they're better than the Lakers. You still have to look at roster and stuff, not just if they've beaten good teams. And you can take into account that, but you also have to take into account how well players are playing.
And you have to take into account the games that AD didn't play. AD missed 2 games this week. You have to take into account their injuries.
They haven't lost. They haven't lost without AD though.
Okay, still KCP was injured. I mean, yeah. I don't get you. They're 8-3, and you have them at 26.
They're 9-3 now.
9-3. They're the best team in the NBA.
Yeah, so this is why I'm gonna keep it like this for a couple of weeks in this particular way, and if it still has the Lakers so low and other teams that I'm not gonna say yet too high, then I'm going to have to recalibrate the way that I do my power rankings.
Why don't you just Levi, this is kind of a crazy theory, but why don't you just put the team that you think is the best at number 1 and then just go down?
Well, the reasoning is because I don't know enough about the NBA to know which team I think is the best. I would imagine the Lakers are probably the best. I feel better.
Well, they
about
go
the
on
Clippers
an ESPN power ranking.
I feel better than the Clippers at the moment, but I'm not going to copy ESPN.
Anyway, I copy them, but you can get.
You guys take it away. You guys keep it going. But
as Drew said, the Bulls at 27. I have them at 25. In their last 5 games, they're 2-3 with wins over the Blazers and the Mavericks. 2 good wins, but their games they've lost, they lost to the Lakers by 2, the Clippers by 3, and the Kings by 4. So I think they still have a shot. Drew had them pretty low. I have a couple spots higher.
Mm-hmm.
They still could contend. They're in close games with the Clippers and the Lakers, And Kings aren't great, but they're still in a close game with them. So it's not a terrible team. They're just not a great team. And yeah, like you said, they have one good player, it's Zach LaVine. Other than that, this team is it's young. It's developing, which is a good. Kobe White's playing very well, and you can keep developing Markkanen, and you will be good in a couple of years. I feel like if you make one more big signing or one more big trade or something.
Yeah, I have the Grizzlies at 25. You already said that. 24. I have the Knicks.
All right. Well, we'll talk about the Knicks. I have them at 23, so we're pretty close on the Knicks. They started out pretty well. They're still right around that 9-8 spot in the Eastern Conference, but after starting out 5-4, they've now lost 3 straight games.
Yeah, and Julius Randle is averaging above 7 assists a game, which is huge for them.
Yeah, Julius Randle's been playing very well, like an all-star even, but this team started losing. RJ has not been efficient. Some of their role players that were playing so well the year have started dropping off a bit. 3 straight losses now puts them at 5-6 after being 5-3 to start the year. So
who do you have at 24?
I have them at 23. At 24, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers at 5-7. Same as the Knicks. They started off pretty hot. I think they started off like 4-2, maybe. They're now 5-7. They've lost. I think they lost to they lost 3 straight. Yeah, they've lost 3 straight. So if same as the Knicks, they stopped their momentum and now they're starting to losing like we thought. But they will say they have no Garland in these last 3 games, and he is their best player. So there's still a shot for you. I just think you need to start get you healthy. Hopefully Kevin Love can come back and be a somewhat player that can help your team. And, yeah, you have to turn your season around starting now. And then, 22, I guess we're at. I have the New Orleans Pelicans. So Levi's pretty off, just not too far off. Well, same thing. These 3 teams both started off the season pretty hot.
I have the Pelicans way higher, actually.
Same thing. They started off the season 4-2, and they've lost 3 straight to the Thunder, who is, besides their record, still not a great team. The Hornets, who LaMelo outplayed Lonzo in that game, and the Pacers, who are a good team, so they still have hope.
The Pacers game, they were actually up till about 2 minutes left.
Brogdon had a buzzer beater.
Yeah, it was a really, really – but then it went back and forth at 2 minutes. But they were pretty much up the entire game till then.
And Brogdon
so they definitely can show that they can hang with good teams. It's just, I don't know, they're still really, really young. I think in 2 or 3 years they'll be really dominant as long as everybody stays. For my 22, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers, who you had at what? 24?
I had my 24.
24, yeah. So pretty much the same thing. They're 5-6, 5-5.
They're 5-7.
5-7. Okay. Well, yeah, I have them at 22. And I guess I'll just go into 21. 21, maybe a little low. I have the Atlanta Hawks. They had a really, really bad last couple of weeks after starting out really, really well. Obviously, you have huge upside with Trae Young's shooting ability, but I think they're a borderline playoff team. They're not consistent enough, so that's why I have them at 21.
Yeah. At 21, I have the OKC Thunder. Like I said, besides what their record shows, they're still. They're winning. They're 5-5. They're winning some scrap. They lost again tonight. They're winning. They're in almost every game. They beat the KD and Kyrie-less Nets, so that's not a huge win. They did beat the Knicks by quite a bit, which is a fine win, and they barely snagged one over the Pelicans. So they're 5-5. They're 500, but this team's still in rebuild mode. At the end of the day, Shea will get his stats. He'll fill up the stat sheet. Beasley will be a developing rookie. And honestly, I think in a couple of weeks you won't be contending, and then you just got to start tanking. And you're trying to get Cade Cunningham or Jalen. No, you don't. I guess you don't even need a guard. You kind of need a big. So I guess you're trying to get Evan Mobley with that top 3 pick. So I think honestly, this team in a couple of weeks will be out of contention.
Levi, 25-21.
Oh boy, here we go. Let's pull it up here. 25 Bulls. 24 Orlando Magic, 23 Detroit Pistons, 22 Toronto Raptors, and at 21 the Memphis Grizzlies. So
the funniest thing about me is it's not bad. Honestly, it's not bad.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Having the Magic that low shows how much of an overreactor you are, because when they were 4-0, you had them at number 1, and now they're 6-4, which I think they're better than they were when they were 4-0, and you have them at 21. Or something.
Yeah, I guess it's
You also have the Grizzlies. Wait, what do you have at 21?
The one that I would expect you guys to be up in arms over is the Pistons at 23.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
bad.
but-
They're 2-8.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
there's a lot
they're
of bad
still
teams.
bottom half of them.
Like, I'm way more mad at you putting a good team, like, low than I am, like, a bad team kind of low. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's not a big of a difference.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
All
bad.
right. All right. Well, you guys get into it, and I'll have my next 5 for you when you come calling.
I think Drew had them much lower than me, but I have 20, the Kings. They picked up a nice win last night against
I
the
think it's
Pacers.
27, yeah.
Yeah, so I have a 27 spot jump, kind of a big difference. They're 5-6. I mean, at the end of the day, they're still contending. Last night they had a nice one over the Pacers. De'Aaron Fox had an insane dunk to end the game off. They lost to the Blazers by quite a bit. They lost to the Raptors by quite a bit, and they went back and they beat the Bulls. But ever since that start of the season, they've struggled quite a bit now. They're now 5-6, so they need to turn it around and get back to that start of the season. But they're not. Their wins are usually pretty big, but their losses are always pretty blowout. So, I mean, I'm not sure to think of this team. They're not great, and they need to have everyone on every night to be a good containing team, and that hasn't happened so far. Especially Marvin Bagley is their biggest weakness. His defensive liability has been insane, and his offense has been pretty awful, and trade talks have already been up in the air for the first couple weeks. Who do you have,
Yeah.
20?
20, I have the Magic, and this might seem a little low too, but obviously Fultz is hurt. He was key to being a playmaker on that team, and then now they're going to have to rely a lot on the rookie Cole Anthony. If he steps up, I'll move him higher, but I don't know. I have him at 20 as of right now.
Okay, I have 19. You touched on them a little bit. The Atlanta Hawks, they're 5-5 or 5-6. I actually think. Wait, no, they're 5-5. They beat the Sixers yesterday, and they got lost by the Hornets by a lot. And they both back-to-back games. And Young's been playing pretty bad actually late. He started off the season very well, and he's had games where he put up 10, shooting the 3-ball horrendous. Then he put up 16. It was like 3 for 17 from 3. His shot just turned off those last couple games, and they have to get him being that 30 points a game score if they want any chance to do anything in this conference. Their roster looks great on paper. Bogdanovich has not played well. Gallinari has not played well. Capella's not played well. I mean, if these guys actually play well like they did last year, this team could be scary, but they're just not doing that. Everyone needs to step it up, honestly.
Yeah. 19, I have the Rockets.
All right, I'll touch them too because I have Rockets at 18. This team still has a lot of potential to be good. I mean, we see they have James Harden. They're 3-6 coming off another loss to the Lakers tonight, and that's back-to-back losses now. But they did beat the Magic, a good team. They beat the Kings twice, which isn't great, and then they lost to a lot of other teams as well. So it's not a great team, but I think Harden can give you we know he can give you 40 every night. I mean, right now it's like he's not trying very hard. He's putting up like 20 these last couple games. But a good sign for your team is John Wall is playing like that point guard we all know he used to be. His speed is there, his playmaking is there, his handle's there, and he's putting up buckets. And another problem for you guys is DeMarcus Cousins has now got ejected 3 straight games with technicals. So
Yeah.
that's pretty awful that your big man your only actual big on the team has gotten ejected by games.
And also, this might show you how important, like how good James Harden and Russell Westbrook really are, because they were the top 10 team for the last 2 or 3 years, pretty non-debatedly, and now they're both in the bottom half of the league without each other. I think.
But the reason that the duo split up is because they couldn't make any playoff damage, and they weren't going to make any playoff damage. So it wasn't a bad thing to move the duos up. They just could have probably, I don't know. The trade wasn't great for either team.
No, yeah, it wasn't a great trade. But what I'm trying to say is James Harden definitely isn't any Giannis. He can't win by himself like Giannis can. And Giannis does have help, but you put Giannis on the Rockets team, I think they're top 10, top 15 team. And Rockets, have a 19-18.
Well,
so
it's also Harden still wants out. I mean, he's not trying. You can tell. His lack of effort on the defense is like his 2016 defense. Last year, his last couple years have been great steals. And he's just looking like that guy that we all used to make fun of back a couple years ago with his defense. I mean, he wants out. And if they can pull together a good trade with young people and draft picks, then this team could work in the near future. So I don't know. I think Philly's closed for the Harden talks now, though. I think you're keeping Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid untouchable. So I don't know what to actually get for Harden anymore.
Okay, I'm going to speed through my next couple just because it's taking a little bit, but we're at 18.
That was my 18.
Okay, my 18 is the Spurs, not much to say. And my 17, little controversial, is the Raptors, which is super high. I know
Pretty high.
this is like one of my debated ones. I just think that they have super, super high upside. They didn't really lose too many people as of from last year, but I don't know. I think that they still are 17. They're really borderline 8 seed. I think if you ask the random average NBA fan, do you think the Raptors are going to make the playoffs? I don't think it's going to be an absolute no. That's why I have them at 17. I believe that Fred VanVleet will continue playing like he is. If Kyle Lowry obviously gets his shot going and Siakam plays better and closes out games, I think that they're obviously really, really dangerous. They do have to turn it around, but the season's really young. And hopefully Malachi Flynn continues to play like he did against the Kings. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you talked about the Spurs a little bit. I mean, you didn't really talk about them, so I'll just touch on it a little bit. 5-5. They beat the Lakers the other night, so that's a good win. Or actually, they're 6-5, coming off another win tonight over the Timberwolves. They beat the Timberwolves twice in a row now. They beat the Clippers and the Lakers before this, so they're actually coming off a lot of good wins. And this team could be back to what we saw a couple years ago, playoff team for the last 8 years to last year. So good for them. And at 16, I have the Charlotte Hornets. I'm not sure if Drew's named them yet, which probably is overreacting because they're 6-5. But LaMelo Ball's playing great. He's put up now one near triple-double and a triple-double. And last night, he didn't have great scoring, but he had points or he had rebounds and assists. So he's filling out the stat sheet. He's doing everything you're asking from him. He's not going to be that super flashy scorer that you thought he could be, but he still has potential to do that down the future. I say now he focused on getting his playmaking and what he's doing right now. And it's doing good for them. They've come off four straight wins. Yeah, 4 straight wins before 3 straight losses. They come back with 4 straight wins. So they handled that down stretch pretty well. And then 15, the Orlando Magic, they're 6-4. Drew touched on them. No Markelle Fultz. Vucevic is playing like an all-star again. Aaron Gordon stepping up, but they're going to need Cole Anthony, the rookie, to play as a starting point guard role because they don't have a veteran anymore like Augustine. So they're really going to need him to help this team out. And if he can do that, then yeah, they might go up more. But they're 6-4 right now. And
yeah. Okay, my 16 is the Pelicans. You already touched on them. I already touched them a little bit, actually. Maybe a little high, but I think their upside is really high. And then you have 15. You have the Hornets. Again, might be a little high, but right now LaMelo Ball looking like the rookie of the year. I think that if he continues to play like this, they're at least 15. They're really, really dangerous. And they've won how many straight, or did they lose?
They've won 4 straight.
Yeah, so they're hot. I think 15 is pretty appropriate. And 14, I have the Trailblazers. Yeah, they're a good 6, 7 seed. If they start, obviously they have high potential. Dame Lillard has to be that number 1 guy. He's playing fine. He has to play better, though, to be a top 4 or 5 seed. Yeah.
All right, so you went down to 14 or 15?
I went down to 14 for the Trailblazers.
All right, at 14 I have the Miami Heat. They're not playing well by any means. They're not playing great, but they're still 4-5. They're in contention, of course. I mean, we saw this team could do last year as a 6 seed or 5 seed. So they can, of course, turn it around. Tough loss to the Sixers tonight in overtime. Joel Embiid came back and dropped 45 on them. But they did beat the Wizards a couple nights ago, and the Celtics beat them, though. So they're coming off a 2-2 stretch these last couple games. So they just need to start winning some games, string together some wins. Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, your young shooters, are playing so well now. Jimmy Butler needs to turn it on, as well as Bam, and this team can be back to last year's form. Now I'll just go down to 13.
Levi, you want to do 20 through 14?
You're muted.
Yeah, sure. I'll give you guys my 20 to 16, you said?
14.
20 to 14. All right, so at number 20, I have the Cleveland Cavs, 19, the Rockets, 18, the Heat, 17, Mavericks, 16, Boston Celtics, not sold on them yet, 15, 76ers. That one, I wish I could put them higher, but again, it's kind of like the Lakers, just I have to stick to the algorithm. And,
I wish I could put my power rankings higher.
And then at number 14, I have the Denver Nuggets. So there you go.
All right, that's not bad. There's some issues by the Sixers and the Celtics being so low. And you said Nuggets at 14. I'll talk about them right now at 13 for me. They string together a couple wins here. They're now 5-6 after starting off 2-5. They lost again tonight after being 500 for the first time all year. But they did turn it around. Jokic is playing like an MVP, and he honestly, if he keeps it up against a team above 500, he might actually win the MVP, averaging a near triple-double, coming off a win or a loss to the Nets today, which does hurt. But they did beat the Knicks and the 76ers the last couple nights. So, I mean, they're turned around, and they're playing better. Jamal Murray's stepping up a little bit. They need that jump again, though, like a bubble Jamal to even play better. And I'll just go on to my top 10. Blazers at 12. They're 6-4. They're a good basketball team. The defensive side of the ball is coming together. We're starting to play great defense. Derek Jones and Covington are locking up every team's best player. CJ McCollum is an all-star. Honestly, he's going to get snubbed because of the national recognition that Booker and Paul and Mitchell get. He's playing better than all of them, though. He's even playing better than Harden. He'll still get snubbed because he's CJ. He's averaging 30 games, second in the league. He's not missing his threes. This is the most threes he's ever made, and he's first in the league through three-pointers made. And Dame is not playing bad. He's just taking a little step back. He's not being as aggressive, which is fine if we're still getting wins. He should turn it up a little bit now, though. Nurkic got a minor injury. He should be fine. He needs to turn it up and stop. He's letting play better defense and start making more shots. And other than that, man, the bench is coming together. Rodney Hood needs to play better, but Gary Trent, Carmelo Anthony's looking like a spark plug again. This team is great. I could talk about them for a long time, but we gotta go on time. Just go watch my channel if you want to talk about the Blazers.
Yeah.
At number 11, I got the Brooklyn Nets at 6-6. Such a funky team. KD came back. They've won 2 straight. Before KD, they lost 3 straight, and we don't know what the heck's going on with Kyrie Irving. He's been out for now 4 games, and now he's been seen at a birthday party for his family with no mask, and he's being reviewed for like COVID exposure. He's out for another 3 games.
So what Seth is basically saying is that Kyrie is pulling a James Harden.
Well, no, Kyrie Irving is obviously not doing good COVID-related stuff. Seth, I'll go over mine. I have the Jazz at 13. Jazz, I think that might be a little low, but I just don't know how dynamic they can be at times. And I think the top 13 teams are really, really good. There's a clear drop-off. You have Donovan Mitchell, who just surpassed, I believe let me fact check that. Yeah, he just surpassed Karl Malone for the most 30-point games in franchise history, and he's only, 25, 26? So that's huge. He's super, super talented. He'll only get better, so that's a plus for the Jazz. 12, I have the Nets. Seth just touched on them. We have 12 and 11. I agree. 11, I have the Pacers, which is kind of low. I haven't actually watched many Pacers games. Can't tell you much about them, but I see their record. I see what other people are saying about them, and I think they're a borderline top 10 team. Yeah.
All right, so top 10 time, I think it is. So at number 10, I have the Golden.
Levi.
Oh, Levi.
Up the top 10.
Yeah, I'll give you guys my 13 through 11, I guess. So 13, I have. Let's see, I left off at the Nuggets, right? So 13, I got the Kings. 12, the Knicks. 11, the New York Nets. So there you go.
Kings are high, really high.
All right, well,
5 and 6. They're not.
We'll get into our top 10 now, and I have the Golden State Warriors. Right now, they're in a close game with the Pacers in the third quarter, but I'll just leave this game out of contention right now because it hasn't ended. So I'll just talk about before tonight. They're 6-2 in their last 8 games. They're starting off 0-2. They turned the season completely around. Curry, we saw, shot 0 for 11 from 3 last night or 2 nights ago, and they still beat the Raptors by 1 point, and Curry played awful. Maybe the worst game Curry's ever had in his career. He had like 10 points. But we saw Wiggins finally stepped up and Wiseman. So this team, even without Curry in an off night, beat as Drew says, still a contending Raptors team. So, I mean, Warriors are a good team. People counted them out after the start of the season and before the season. I said they're going to make the playoffs. I'm standing by that. They're going to make the playoffs, probably around a 6 or 5 seed. So, yeah, moving on to number 9, we have the Utah Jazz at 6-4. Drew touched on them as well. Mitchell is playing pretty well. He's talked about they're 7-4 actually. They're technically second in the West, tied with a lot of teams for second in the West. And they're playing good basketball. They're coming off 3 straight wins, especially one of them over the Bucks, which was a big win. They beat the Bucks, so that helped their resume and their top 10 team for sure. Number 8, we have the we have the Indiana Pacers at 6-4. Like Drew said, he hasn't seen much of them. I actually have watched a lot of Indiana Pacers because they're just an exciting team right now. They're 6-4, top 5 in the West. Malcolm Brogdon is playing so well. He had a buzzer beater against the Pelicans. That was a floater. He called game. He's playing super well. He's averaging around 22 and 10. And Sabonis is playing super well as well, putting up huge stats. Going to be another All-Star, at least he should be. And they've lost 2 straight, but before that they were playing very well, and they can still get a win over the Warriors tonight and make them even higher on this list. Number 6, we have the Dallas Mavericks at 5-4. I'm still not overreacting. This team is still a good basketball team. I'm not going to exaggerate. They're still good. When KP comes back, they should be great. And they're 5-4, 7th in the West, with a couple good wins back, 3 straight nights of good wins over Rockets, Nuggets, and Magic. And, they're turning it up. And when KP comes back, the team should be right back in contention for a top 5 seed. And just one back thing about this team is maybe you have to move on from KP because he could just ruin Luka's career being an injury guy. And if he's just injured all the time, then Luka's wasting years. So maybe you move on from KP after the contract and try to find a different second guy to fit with Luka that won't be so injury prone, because that's now 3 straight years of a KP injury.
How long is he going to be injured for?
They're not sure. They're saying still probably at least 2 more weeks or maybe 1 more week.
Jeez. Okay, I'll go now, I guess. Do you want me to go? Or do you – wait, which
should
one
I do
you got?
6?
Yeah,
do 6? Yeah. All right, number 6, I have the Phoenix Suns, 7-4, coming off a tough loss to the Pistons by a lot. That was an ugly one. And that was Booker's best game of the season. And Booker hasn't had to do much. This team has got role players. Actually, no, not Pistons. Coming off a tough loss to the Wizards. They lost to the Pistons 3 nights ago. 2 tough losses in the last 3 games. But before that, they were playing very well. They struggling a little bit now. They got to start getting these wins. Booker is turning it up. He's starting off slow. But their role players is the question in this game. Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson are playing so great on the bench. Chris Paul is out there to facilitate the team. He's getting you 14 and 12 every night, basically. So that's all you're asking from him. You don't need him to score 20. You're just asking him to score 12, 14, and get you the assists and lead the offense. And that's what they're doing, and that's why they're winning games, and they should contend for a top 3 seed in the West, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I have them even higher than you, I believe. Yeah, I do. But I'll go over mine. 10, I have the Nuggets, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray. Have you named the Nuggets yet?
Yeah, I had them at 12.
Yeah, okay. So I agree with Seth on this. Again, I think 10, 12, 11, they're all really, really similar to me. I think they're a good team. Obviously, we saw what they did last season in the bubble. Played really, really well, knocked off the Clippers in that comeback 3-1. And they're pretty much the same team. I still think they have the capability to do that. Then you have 9, the Heat. This is high, way higher than – not way higher, but in the top 10. It's pretty high, but again, this season's still young. I have to take into account what happened last year as well. They still have a really, really talented team. Jimmy Butler, if he plays – like he did last season in the bubble, and everybody else is playing like they are right now, they're a top 5 team, but obviously Jimmy Butler isn't playing like that right now. 8, the Mavericks. Getting rid of KP, I don't know. I would give him maybe 1 more year because injuries are really, really fluky in my opinion. I don't think there's I guess there are guys that are injury prone, quote unquote, but there's still a lot of luck involved with that. And I think when KP is healthy and he gets fully healthy, which he hasn't been in a long time, I think he's a really, really good player to complement Luka. I think their chemistry is great. But yeah, the injuries is a problem. It's not letting the team build camaraderie, I guess you could say, when one of your star players keeps getting out. Number 7, the Warriors. Seth said it. Obviously, you have Steph Curry played really, really bad. You still sneak out a win against the decent Raptors team. And I have him at 7 because of Steph Curry, right? Obviously, you have a pretty talented team around Steph, but Steph could literally beat anybody any night as long as he's shooting the ball well. That's how scary this guy is, and that's how scary a really, really good shooter like Steph is that can he shoots in under a half a second. He can get the ball really, really quickly. He can shoot from anywhere on the floor. He stretches defenses. And ultimately, you have him at 7 because of Steph. 6, the Clippers. Might be a little low, but I think my top 5 is pretty good. Clippers are fine. I just still think they're lacking that explosiveness. Sometimes I feel like they kind of put their pedal off the gas a little bit, I guess you could say. And I don't know if that's going to equate to another postseason run that kind of sputters out, but I haven't seen that same like intensity that I have from the other top 5 teams. So that's why I'm at 6.
All right, so I'll just talk about the Clippers too. Number 5, right next to Drew, 6. So you talk about the intensity, and that's a key. I'm talking about their bench struggles. The bench has been outscored by 15 points this year, which is brutal for a bench. That means you have to have your starters outscore the opposing starters, and the starters are playing fine. PG, people are now talking about, oh, he's an all-star. They're overreacting on him so much after pandemic P. Now he is back to playoff P or all-star P. And Kawhi is playing fine, and they just need that bench unit to much better. The loss of Montrezl Harrell on that bench sucks. Lou Williams is now your bench scorer. He's not getting that done this year as he's been in his career. Nicholas Batum is now in the backups, and Marcus Morris is now starting. And, you have some good wins, but you also have some tough losses like the Spurs and the Warriors by 10 and barely beating the Bulls. So I don't know what to think of this team. They're up and down. They're inconsistent. Sometimes they play very well, look like the best team in the league. Like against the Blazers, they were not missed, and they were playing super great game. They came to the floor, they hit a 3 almost every possession. But in the games like against the Spurs, who aren't a great team, they had to make a comeback, and they still couldn't get the comeback done. So that's what you needed from this team, to get the comebacks done. And you shouldn't even be in a comeback spot with a team this good. Number 4, I have the Boston Celtics. They're 7-3, still without Kemba Walker, and honestly, it doesn't matter. Peyton Pritchard and Jeff Teague are filling his role. They're first in the East, technically record-wise, or win percentage-wise, I guess you would have to say. They've won now 4 straight. After a tough loss to the Pistons, they bounced back with 4 straight wins, just huge after losing to maybe the worst team in the league. And they got their confidence back. Tatum is playing great, but the reason I have them at 4 and not higher than the Bucks is because of COVID issues. Jason Tatum is out for at least 4 games with COVID-19. That could be a 4-game stretch where you go 2-2 or 1-3 because Jaylen Brown will have to carry. And honestly, Jaylen Brown is also questionable. He might have contact tracing with Jason Tatum. He could have COVID as well. So your season could go down these next 4. You could lose 4 straight here, maybe, potentially. But you really need Jaylen Brown to have to play these next 4 games to step up. And that's why they're not higher than number 4 on the list. At number 3, like I just talked about, it's the Milwaukee. Actually, no, never mind. Number 3, it's the Philadelphia 76ers. After another loss tonight, they're now 8-4. They lost to the Hawks yesterday, and they lost to – actually, no, they won tonight. They beat the Heat in overtime tonight. Joel Embiid had a great game, 45 points, 12 rebounds, 5 blocks, a steal. That's what you need from Joel every night. What a game. Still no Ben Simmons. They pulled out over the Heat. That's a huge win. But now before that, you had 3 straight losses to the Nets, Nuggets, and Sixers, or Hawks. You lost some of your confidence there. Next, I know the Nuggets game, you had no players. You literally had 7 active players. That game shouldn't have been played. They kind of got screwed over there that they made them play that game. But, that was a tough loss. But, of course, you weren't going to win that game. And then you get killed by the Hawks the next night, which does hurt because the Hawks are a subpar team. But you're still 8-4, and you're still a very good basketball team. And you have winning mentality, and I think this team could win it all this year. Honestly, they have a good shot. Or not a good shot. They have a chance. And I still think the best team in the Eastern Conference is the Milwaukee Bucks. They're 7-4. Giannis missed the game with back spasms. They won that game. And the game to the Utah Jazz, Giannis and Middleton had 60 points combined, and they still lost. And that was their defensive problems. The Jazz hit every shot. I mean, they could not stop the 3-ball. I mean, the Jazz ball movement was incredible. The Bucks need to play better defense to hammer down this 1 or 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Giannis is playing well. Middleton's playing great. Holiday's being a great addition. And DiVincenzo has been one of the most underrated players, as well as Brook Lopez playing well in the starting lineup. You've won 2 straight after that Jazz loss, and before that you were on a roll as well. So you got winning mentality. You're gonna do well. And of course, number 1, there's not much to talk about. It's the 9-3 Lakers. They won against the Rockets without AD. They beat the Bulls by 2. They lost to the Spurs a couple nights ago, but I mean it's okay. You're gonna lose a couple games here and there. You can't win them all. But you're 9-3. You have LeBron James and Anthony Davis with a great bench unit, and you can't really stop this team right now. I mean, they're just getting it going. They're just starting right now. 9-3. They're the best team in the NBA.
Yeah, they're definitely not 27. Put it that way. Levi, do you want to do 10 through? Let's do 10 through 1, and then I'll finish off 5 through 1.
Yeah, all right. So for me, I have at number 10 the Charlotte Hornets. Number 9, San Antonio Spurs. Number 8, the Warriors. Number 7, the Trailblazers. Number 6, the Milwaukee Bucks. Number 5.
Why do you have the Trailblazers so high, Levi?
Well, they're 6-4. They have 3 good wins, only 1 bad loss right now. So,
Yeah.
Bucks at 6, and then 5 the Utah Jazz, 4 the Clippers, 3 the Suns. Number 2, I don't know how they ended up here. Well, I mean I do, but it doesn't really make much sense. Number 2 the Thunder, and number 1, which I do kind of like this team at number 1, the Pacers.
Wow. Pacers, I guess. Sure, you could say. The bigger thing is, too, you have the Thunder. I have the Thunder at 23. Again, I can't get too mad at you because your dumb algorithm just sucks.
Yeah.
That's not really your fault for
I have it
creating a
20.
dumb algorithm.
Wait, you have Pacers at number 1, you said?
Pacers at 1, yes.
That's pretty high. I mean,
And-
they're not a bad team, but that's high.
Well, yeah, and the Thunder's pretty high, too. But, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm not really going to get mad at you because your algorithm is pretty dumb. I think you just, here's what I'm telling you. Change your algorithm and then get better ones next week.
And then
And
we can
maybe
make fun
I
of you.
will.
Like, we can make fun of you for, like, real, because that's your actual opinion. Number 5, I have the 76ers. Matisse Thybulle, my boy. I don't know how great he's playing, to be completely honest, but I did not think that the Joel Embiid plus Ben Simmons thing was going to work. I thought the lane was going to be too crowded this year. Both constant.
Got his spot taken by Tyrese Maxey.
Really?
Yeah, the rookie is playing much better than him.
Rip Thybulle, I guess.
I mean, he still plays a little bit, just not much.
That sucks. But obviously the experiment of having 2 guys that take like 90% of their shots in the paint, I feel like it was going to get too crowded, but they're making it work. And if Ben Simmons develops a 3-point shot, which is seeming really unlikely, he could be one of the best players in the league, maybe the best. That's how good he is when he doesn't have to take a 3. Number 4, you have the Suns. I love the Suns. Devin Booker. Yeah, he just played his best game of his season so far, but they still lost. I just think that their upside is really, really good. They have a bunch of good players. I think that 4, they could be maybe 5, but I think the Suns are a top 5 team. 3, you have the Bucks with Giannis. 3 Bucks, Giannis, really talented around him. You have DiVincenzo, obviously. I love DiVincenzo since his Villanova days. Can shoot the ball really, really well. Super athletic. Bucks at 3. Number 2, the Celtics.
Yeah,
The Celtics may be a little high, but you see what they're doing without Kemba Walker, and they're still like lighting it up. Maybe Kemba Walker isn't as good as we expect, but if Kemba Walker comes back and plays really, really well, this team could be super, super scary. Obviously, the COVID issues are kind of concerning, but that only goes on for 4 games, and the NBA season's a long time. So in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it'll actually mean too much.
Yeah, but it could be more because Tatum had to do a 14-day quarantine. I'm not sure how many games he played over that stretch, so he could miss up to 6 games, actually.
Yeah, I could see the Bucks being 2, Celtics 3. I think the Celtics have a more talented roster. And number 1.
Yeah, but speaking on your Kemba, touch on your Kemba point. People are saying that he could get traded because of his money room. Peyton Pritchard and Jeff Teague are playing pretty well for this winning team. So is it
Where would
really
he go?
point to keep that much money on your roster? I don't know where he'd go, but people are just saying maybe you trade him down for like a little bit of a couple good bench young guys, or just a couple good young guys and maybe a pick, and he goes to a one this year team. And they just tell us to get better and build for the future and more. So I don't know. That probably won't happen, but it's not a bad argument.
I'm just wondering which type of competitor who's going to go to the playoffs this year needs a point guard desperately.
I don't really know.
But yeah,
The
I
Mavericks
see.
could use him.
I could see what you mean though. But yeah. I don't know. I feel like Kemba Walker, the Celtics should still keep him for this year, just because we've seen what he can do on the floor. But yeah, obviously the young guys are playing really, really well. But I would roll with Kemba one more year. Lakers at 1, pretty non-negotiable in my opinion. They've obviously only lost 4 times, 3 times, 3 or 4 times, something like that. LeBron James, AD, they're the best team in the league. And that is our NBA power rankings. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below.